Hi, guys. It's Angelica Yingst from the Moon and Stone Healing. I'm coming in to do December's Earth Medicine and Tarot reading. Um, so pop in and say hi if you're watching. And you can always watch this on recording. So I hope everyone's doing well. So what this is that every month I do um an astrological forecast for the month, and then we talk about um some earth medicine to support you. I pull a card of the month, and then we talk about that and how to work with it. Hi, Susan. And we do earth medicine. So I'll do an animal, a plant, and 3 crystals. Hi, Liz. Hi, Stefan. Hi, Stephanie. So we'll talk about, ways to support you, um, and what you can be working with. So, hi, Sammy Joe. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Rosie. Hi, Tanya. Cool. This is way more fun than work. It's fun for me too. Um, Yeah, I love doing these too. So let's kind of start with hi, Zainab. We'll talk about the energy of the month and, the astrology and what's coming up. Um, so December. So I know this is like the last month, but just so you know, astrology doesn't follow our calendar. So it's not like when I say this is, the end of the year or something like that. Astrology's like, oh, it's the end of the year and everything reflects that. It really doesn't. But it just so happens that a lot of the astrology that's coming in December is kind of ending energy. So we have some like things coming together. So which is happy for me because 2021 was difficult. Hi, Abigail. Hi, Jasmine. Hi, Debbie. Um, so December 3rd, and then you'll see like December 4th. So December 3rd, December 4th, the new moon is here. Okay. So when we have eclipses, I guess you probably all know this, right? But when we have eclipses, lunar eclipses happen at the full moon, and solar eclipses will only happen at the new moon. So we have a full solar eclipse. Oh, hi, Jay. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry I missed you. Everybody popped up at one time. So sorry about that, honey. Um, so we have a full solar eclipse on what seems to be like Friday or Saturday, depending on where you check it out. But we have that new moon in Sagittarius. And basically, this eclipse will be the last eclipse cycle. So we've had like an 18-month period of having eclipse cycles between Gemini and Sagittarius. They've been coming since 2020. Hi, Debbie. Uh, Gemini and Sag are both mutable signs. So do we all know what that means when I say a mutable sign? Hi, Steph. I miss you too. Um, so zodiac sign qualities. Hi, Judith. They're also called modalities or triplicities, or you'll hear different things. They refer to the stage in the cycle of astrology, the seasonal cycle that the zodiac sign falls under. So cardinal signs will start. So there's 3. There's mutable, fixed, and cardinal. Cardinal zodiac signs start a season. So those are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. The fixed ones are like in the middle of the season. Okay, fixed are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Mutable signs come at the end of the season, and they all have their own strengths and qualities. Okay. So the mutable signs are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, which we're in right now, and Pisces. The thing about each of them is like, so you'll see the cardinal signs will start things. So they tend to be leaders. This is why, like, even though you'll have 3 earth signs, they all approach things differently. And so the cardinal signs, the ones that kick off the season, tend to be the leaders. They're really good at doing things and working hard. They're kind of the ones that start it off. the reputation is they can start it off, but they don't quite finish their jobs. um, they're ambitious, they have great ideas, things like that. The fixed signs are the ones that kind of like are the ones that they can follow through. They're strong. They have stamina, that kind of stuff. They tend to have the reputation of being stubborn. They're fixed in their season, so to speak, or in their element. So they tend to have a reputation of being a little more stuck in their ways, right? Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. They're like, this is how things are done. It's always done. Like, for example, a Taurus would be like, it's always done the spring way, right? Not the winter way. And whereas the Aquarius will be like, this has to be done the winter way, right? So you kind of get it. And then the mutable ones are the Gemini, Virgo, Sag, and Pisces, which is what we're talking about with these eclipses. The mutable signs tie things up. They tend to be very flexible, which is a great attribute. They are ones that can kind of go with the flow a little more. They're adaptable. Um, Whereas the fixed signs are less adaptable. Do you understand? So, um, so they're really good at multitasking. They're good at being moving through situations. They tend to be really good multitaskers. Whereas, like Jay's saying, I'm kind of that way as a Taurus, right? Tauruses tend to not be as great of multitaskers. They tend to need that focus of being not stubborn, but like, I'm in the middle of this, I'm going to finish it, right? Um Stefan said, what is a Libra? A Libra is the cardinal. They're cardinals. So the mutable signs have the reputation of being a little flaky, right? Like they start something and then they move on to the next thing. And like, for example, if you're in a relationship and you're in a relationship with a mutable sign, they may move on a lot quicker than you move on if you're a fixed sign or you're a cardinal sign, for example. So why does that matter? Well, when you have Gemini and Sag, kind of these mutable signs, and you're having eclipse seasons, it means that, a lot of the energy is changeable. Okay. So what did we see in the last 18 months? What we saw in the last 18 months is this kind of, I want my freedom, right? I want freedom, and freedom means I'm entitled to whatever I want. That's not exactly what freedom would mean to everybody. So, we're kind of looking at this idea where and personal choice and community are kind of in discussion, right? So, there's an astrologer, Dave Odyssey. He says Sagittarius always marches forward and has no values to guide it. It's not that it has no values, like they're, you know, they don't care about things. It's just that they can kind of get misguided on their path because they're going with the flow so much, they're not aligning with values. Whereas something like a Taurus or Aquarius, they're so fixed, right? That their values are always guiding things. So they're not going to change things if it's at all rubs up against their values, right? Good thing, right? At times. So when we're in eclipses tend to bring our shadow in. Okay. Eclipses kind of shadow things. So when we're talking about ending this cycle of looking at shadow or dealing with shadow or shadow arising with these mutable signs, then we're talking about ourselves flipping around, right? We want to prevent the spread of COVID, for example, but we're tired of wearing masks. So we're always, kind of in between those two feelings. And I think even, those of us who believe in masks are kind of getting tired of wearing masks. So we're kind of seeing these eclipses come in, and they've been in for 18 months and now they're ending, which is a great sigh of relief for most of us. Okay. So coming over, Susan said, I'm an Aquarius, and yes, I definitely fixed. That's funny. Jasmine said, I'm a Libra and I act like a Virgo, although I was late. Nice. Rosie said, I'm both a Scorp and a Sag born on the cusp. Water and fire. I'm steamy. Oh, nice, Rosie. Love that. Jasmine said, March 21st here, first day of it all. I'm very motivated. Aries and stuck. Pisces. Nice. Well, Pisces is pretty flowy. They go with the flow. So that's a good thing. One of the things about this eclipse in particular on Friday is that it happens under the influence of Mercury, which is, of course, communication, which when you get that shadowy stuff with communication, then we're really, really told to watch our communication, to respond, not react. You've heard that before, right? And just understand that we have to be truthful. We don't have to be brutal, but we can be truthful. And the reason I say that is because a lot of people think, I'll hear people say I'm brutally honest. I'm like, why do you have to be brutal when you're being honest? You can just be honest. You don't have to be mean about it. And I think like this emphasis on truthful communication comes through. So it both brings out anytime we're not feeling quite like we can be honest, like we're not trusting the ability to be honest. And it's also that we're kind of weighing other people's honesty. Can you see that? So information that was sort of in the shadow will come to light. And that's your stuff, other people's stuff, all that. So yeah, it can be a big deal. So new moon, total eclipse. This takes place in a Sagittarius. So it's a really good time to like go inward. New moons are always inward times, but meditation can be a really good time to handle this. Again, we're looking at our triggers. Like our best tool during this new moon is to be curious and to ask the question, why am I reacting that way? So that's what we're kind of working on. So curiosity is basically our best friend during this first week of December. And later in the month, we're coming into a full moon in Gemini, another mutable sign. And then we'll move into Capricorn. So let's talk about some of the other things. Let me see what I highlighted here. Okay, full moon is in Gemini. And Gemini is a very communicative sign. This is part of the reason that we're talking about communication. So I think we'll find that we can express our truths. This is a really great time to do artwork, to really explore things. And of course, that's just on the heels of winter solstice. So that always makes a really internal time to do that work. One of the ones that you probably won't hear about as much, but is coming up is Venus is going into retrograde on the 19th of December. So, and it's going into retrograde in Capricorn. So Capricorn can be a little, how do we put it? Concerned with earthly things. So when we talk about tarot cards, it's ruled by the devil. So it can really get attached in ways that aren't healthy, right? And I'm a Capricorn, so I can say that about us. So what we're really doing is taking an inventory of our relationship. And this goes on till March 6th. So Venus will be in Capricorn till March 6th. So we're really looking at what's working and what isn't working in our relationships. And like if we have put structure in place for things that aren't as valuable on our long-term journey through the world. What does that mean? It means, did we marry someone for money? Are we doing it because our parents are telling us like we shouldn't get divorced? Blah, 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 blah. This is the stuff we're looking at. And of course, I'm using marriage, but this is for every relationship, including our friendships. So we're just going within and figuring out what holds value for us and what doesn't. And so it really makes us look at like monetary attachment. Are we doing this for comfort and money and all that stuff versus our soul? Okay. December 21st is winter solstice. It also is a time when the sun enters Capricorn. And so this is a really reflective sign and a reflective time. It holds a lot of integrity. So, this is a really great time to do this work, to really like go inward. And then we're, moving into the new year 2022, just kind of in that reflective place. So that's the astrology for the month. Let me see. Jay said, I'm a Taurus on the cusp. So I guess I'm a little all over the place, right? Because you're April. So you're on the cusp of Aries, right? Um, which is always fun. I love Aries and I love Tauruses. Um, Jasmine said, oh, I can flow. Sometimes it's a problem when it comes to finishing projects. Yeah, I mean, I love that you guys are seeing all the ways things are coming out for you, and that's once you start looking at the fixed, you kind of understand more of, sometimes I don't quite get Virgos, and I think it's because they're in the mutable category and I'm kind of in the cardinal. So we're kind of doing two different things, right? But I love Virgos for being fastidious. They definitely clean up all the stuff, right? They're like the ones that look at editing what you're doing. They can see all the little issues that are gonna prevent you from stopping something. Whereas I have a lot of ideas. I just need other people to finish them. Right? Okay, so let's talk about the tarot card of the month. So I pulled Temperance for this month. Now this is just a great card. It's the 14 card, so it's the 14th trump of the major arcana. So the tarot is split up into two sections, the minor and the majors. The majors tend to hold um archetypes, whereas the minors deal with like daily life and all of those kind of things, work, family, home, love, the daily stuff. Whereas the major arcana, which only have 22 cards, deal more with like life spiritual lessons. Okay, so the 14, we're sort of in the middle of the 22 cards, so we sometimes take the fool out of that, so we split it into 7, 7, and 7. So this is the end of the second part, where we're really having our spiritual awakening. And Temperance comes in as this 14 card, which when we add 1 and 4 together is a 5. So in numerology, this is about change and chaos. And yet, what is Temperance doing? It's coming in to balance our emotional energy. We have the archangel here, Michael. We have new dawn. We have spring images here. So it's really coming in for new emotional balance. Temperance is a medieval, we call it medieval virtue. There were a few of them. So it was uh, temperance, justice, um, uh, strength was the other one, but what they called it, I don't know if they called it perseverance at the, but hi Emily. So it's, and I forget what the other one is. Um, I don't know if it was judgment or not. But anyway, temperance was about like holding the self, right? Like kind of the animal self, um, keeping that under control and going to the higher spiritual self. And so that's why when we talked about like prohibition and getting over alcohol, for example, we called it the temperance movement because alcohol was seen as a spirit. Okay, and even Jung had said, you can have the spiritual or you can have the spirits. They're both occupying this same place. And so Temperance comes in to say, what are you choosing? The spirit, which is one of balance and this good energy, or the spirit, drinking your alcohol, which would like unleash the animal self. Okay. So this card comes in to talk about balance. All right. So this makes a lot of sense to me to pull this for December, since most of us are running like crazy and like doing that whole I'm going to buy gifts and I'm going to buy the best things and I'm going to run myself ragged. And then by the end of the month, go like, oh my gosh, I didn't enjoy myself at all. or I'm going to have parties, I'm going to go to parties, I got to do everything, blah, 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 blah. So temperance comes in to ask you for emotional balance. Now you can see anytime you see water in a tarot card, it's about our emotions. Okay. And you can see that the angel is tipping one little tootsie in there. Um, so we're not putting the whole body in our emotions. We're just kind of tipping in. So this is always my card of emotional sobriety. Again, responding rather than reacting. We're taking things in. This means we don't have to immediately respond to things that are upsetting to us. We can say, hey, let me think about that. That was something that's challenging to me. Let me think about it before I respond. So we're looking at this as a basically a guidepost through this month. And Archangel, this is supposed to be Archangel Michael. There's 4 angel cards in the tarot, and each one represents, this one isn't as clearly Michael as some of the other ones are, but Michael is a protector, and so you can use Michael to ask to protect against emotional volatility, so to speak, and just kind of call in this new energy of emotional sobriety. Our first challenge of that, of course, is going to be at the new moon, when we have this solar eclipse. So, and again, we're not like, hey, let me look at that solar eclipse. We're being patient and taking our time with that. So, Rosie said, "Oh, cool." Rosie said that rings true for me. Just started anxiety antidepressant drugs to help temper my mood as I'm perimenopausal. Yep, this is the kind of card you would get for that. That's exactly right. So we're just looking at our mood. And that's the thing. We can do all of the spiritual work, but I always tell people, do you want to know how I'm doing? Ask my husband. How am I treating him? He's the one who's gonna get like the real Angie. It's very easy to be very spiritual when I'm around this spiritual group of people that I don't have to be around for very long, but we're looking at our primary relationships. We're looking at the people around us. We're looking at how we treat our animals, how we treat our parents, how we treat our siblings, how we treat our partners, how we treat our kids. So this is where temperance becomes really, really important, because we're just kind of dipping our toe in emotional sobriety and knowing that we can, and this isn't really any kind of discussion about whether you drink or not. That doesn't, it's not really about that. This is more about the emotional sobriety. Now, when I pull this card in a reading and someone's asked me about someone, and I get temperance reversed, I might say, oh, is this person a drinker? Because it does signal that, for many of us who read tarot. But in this sense, when we're using it as an archetype, we're looking at the archetype of new emotional sobriety, a new awakening of the self. And again, curiosity is your best tool this month, when it comes to triggers and the self. Why did I react that way? And once we start asking that question, we can go a little deeper. Once you understand your triggers, you can understand what's going on. I heard this great, I think it was on TikTok or something. This woman was talking about, um, a situation, and she was completely in that like fight or flight mode. She was trying to flight, trying to leave a situation, and her boyfriend's like, "What happened? What just happened? Like, why are you upset with me?" And she's like, "I'm not upset with you. You didn't do anything wrong. I just got to leave right now." And he's like, "What did I trigger?" And so we can both do this for ourselves, and we can do it for other people. It's just having the awareness when we have this fight, this anger mode, flight, I need to get out of here right now. Even fawn, like, oh, I have to make this person like me. I have to make this person okay. I need to check with them to make sure they're not mad at me. That's the fawn. Freeze, like, I don't know what to do. I can't say anything. When we have any one of those 4 responses, we get to say to ourselves, what was just triggered? And that's where the curiosity comes in. What was just triggered? How can I get to the next place? Well, temperance invites you to have that conversation with yourself and get into that deep place. Again, this is a perfect season for it. We're looking at the end of this mutable eclipse season, and then we're looking at this inward work of winter. Capricorn's an inward time when we hit that mid stride. So, um, you know, uh, I love the winter for that. This is my favorite time of the year. So, um, Emily said, fauna is a new one to me, very interesting and close to home. Yeah, fauna is one that we don't talk about a lot, but many of us engage in, right? We just get a sense like somebody's mad at us. How many of us have had people do that to us? Are you mad at me? Are you mad at me? Are you mad at me? And you're like, okay, what is happening here? Like, you have to trust that I like you, and it's just a trauma response. It's a trauma response to wonder if somebody's angry with you. Michael, I'm not doing personal readings. I'm doing a general reading for the month of December. So just so you know. Okay, so let's talk about some of the medicine that can help us, the earth medicine. So this is when I talk about earth medicine, this is the, the medicine, so to speak, the thing that we can use as a tool to help us through this energy of this time. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the plant first, which I got the plant wormwood. So wormwood is a very medicinal plant, and it's actually the Latin name is Artemisia, which is one of the ones that mugwort is also Artemisia, but this is an Artemisia absinthian, right? Um, so absinthe is made out of wormwood, and it has a reputation of having some far out issues, but it is very, very healing in many ways. It's sometimes drunk, it's applied, but in larger doses, it's toxic. So this is one of those plant medicines that the dosage is really important. Okay. And we're looking at this because of the toxicity of wormwood and because of the way that it can bring a kind of, altered state. We're looking at it as a detoxer. It can be a detoxer, but also one that promotes, do you see caution? So protectiveness. So remember, when you're doing that internal work, we are also doing that work of protecting our heart from people that cannot accept it as a gift, right? Our vulnerability is a gift, and wormwood's very protective. It's also really great for digestion and any stomach issues. I take wormwood, so while I was taking it, I kind of took a pause on it, but you can get it in I use Thorns Artisan, and that's a wormwood that you can take, but just check, make sure it's something that you would use. But that's our plant medicine of the month. So, and if you just want to drink a little absinthe, that's fine too. Okay, let's talk about the stone medicine. So, the first one I pulled was garnet, which I seem to pull a lot. It's my favorite stone, so it's not surprising. But garnet is wonderfully organized into dodecahedrons. I think I have my other dodecahedron over there, but it has this wonderful sacred geometry to it. It's very grounding. It's very protective. It helps to kind of engage in opening to our own courage. So, I think sage goddess Athena, when I worked with her, I took some classes with her. I remember her doing a visualization where she was like put on this huge garnet belt as a protective place for your sacral and your root. And I really love that imagery of garnet. I use garnet for everything. I mean, this is an almandine, but there's many different types of garnet. The almandine is really great to work with the roots. So if you're dealing with trauma, it's a good one. It's also great for helping in the sacral area, especially around ovary issues. So ovarian cysts, things like that, you can place it straight over, but very, very grounding. I wear garnet every day. because it's my go-to right now. So there we have garnet. So our second stone is malachite. And malachite is one of those stones that some people really, really dislike. It's a hard stone because it is a truth teller, okay? And it brings out like the thing in the heart that is maybe not always spoken, including when our boundaries have been crossed. And the reason is a lot of people will put it on their heart. And I think that malachite's a little strong for the heart. It's really, really good in the solar plexus. It has a masculine energy, and a lot of crystal healers use it for leadership. They use it for this idea of enlightened leadership, which I've talked about before. And this idea that, when we are a leader, we are of service to everyone. We are of service to the people around us. So working with malachite as a guide for being of service to others can be a really wonderful way to use it, and to use it in the solar plexus. It's also really great for inflammation. So you can understand when you're working with this idea of emotional balance, like we are with temperance, why malachite will be a wonderful guide for that, because it helps us temper inflammation. And what is anger but our inflamed emotions, right? So malachite is our second ally. I'm going to come over here. Um, I had to I had to take wormwood recently, but got scared when I heard absinthe. Yeah. Hi, Jinjin. Stefan said, I got a beautiful new piece of garnet, a dodecahedron. I love it so much. Emily says, I love it. I wear it every day. I don't know if you mean garnet or malachite, but I wear garnet every day. Rosie said, I need to wear Sujolite 24/7. I did that for a couple of years. I wore Sujolite 24/7. Now I'm like in this garnet place, so I don't know what's going on with that, but malachite. Emily wears malachite every day in a ring. See, I love malachite. I love the energy of it, but I used to work with a woman who was a crystal healer, and she got she was like, ugh, with malachite. That's the thing about stones, is like everybody is different. Everybody reacts to stones differently. Okay, so the third stone is selenite. This is what selenite actually looks like. It's clear. Okay. Most people think of selenite as this. This is satin spar, which is not clear, but they really do the same thing. You'll find this is much more easy to find than this, but you can find them. You're just doing clear selenite, making sure it's the right thing. Um, Selenite, if you want it, you can also just use satin spar. Selenite is a wonderful ally for cleansing and purifying the energy fields. It is just a beautiful stone. It's got high vibrations. You can use it on the crown. I love to clean the energy field with it. I believe this is going to be a wonderful ally for you, especially in the wand shape, as you move through this time where we're really internal and we're really keeping our energy to ourselves and all of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I would work with selenite right now, especially as a wand. Okay. All right. And so, our animal medicine of the month. I was actually really excited to pull the bee. I love the bees. Um, and I have this little amber bee. Isn't that amazing? This is probably what I'm going to be meditating with when I do our journey for the month. So the bee, the medicine of the bee is really interesting because it's both community, it's hard work. The queen bee is so much like Mother Earth, right? Mysterious, and mostly spends most of her life in the dark, right? Because she's in the hive and she's cared for by everyone. Bees they have a lot of myth and mythology around them. They tend to work like in pack. Um, so they're associated with fertility, with rebirth. I know in Egypt they, often were seen as reborn souls coming out of tombs and things like that. They again represent that kind of hardworking community thing. So they're about determination. Nothing is wasted that the bee makes. So, the honeycombs have that sacred geometry in it. And then you can use the honeycombs to make, candles and other things for the body. And then the honey's eaten and it's sweet, and it's just amazing. The bees are magical, and you can definitely use bee energy for things like dismemberment journeys, rebirth journeys, kind of going to the underworld journeys. So we're working with bee this month in our monthly membership. So um, I always do these free, readings for the whole month with the earth medicine, the tarot, and all that stuff. Um, and then if you belong to my membership group on my website, basically what it is that I do a tarot reading, like a group tarot reading for the new moons, the full moons, and then I do a shamanic journey every month. So you can kind of sign up for 1, 2, 3 of them. And that's really fun. So we kind of will work with a journey, and I have a feeling this one's going to be like a dismemberment journey. So many stingings happening. Um, all right, I'm going to come up and answer some questions. Stefan said, I'm not fond of tiger's eye, but I like red and blue tiger's eye. Interesting. Red tiger eye is pretty rare. Most of the red tiger eye that you find on the market is actually heat treated regular tiger eye. Jasmine said, oh, you said magical too. Love the bees, so magical they are. Hi, Julie Maletti. Oh, you missed the decks I'm using? I am using, so I used the Animal Allies deck for the animal medicine. And this is by Jessica Swift. I love this one. It doesn't have like a book. It has a couple of really, really insightful sentences, which I love. I think she does a great job with it. For the plant medicine, I am using the Hedge Witch plant oracle. This is the field guide, but I think it's called the Hedge Witch Botanical Oracle. And then for the stone medicine, this is a deck that happened to come free in like my goddess provision, and I love this because it doesn't have a book. It's just like the stones, and it's from 1,000 species, and it's just a crystal oracle. Again, no description. There's one word, one drawing, the name. But I like that deck, and then I use the Rider Waite deck for my tarot. Emily. Susan said, I like bee, but how do you work with an animal that just gives you the willies? I have that feeling with snake and spider. How do I get over that? I think like it's totally normal to have like the animal part of your brain react to snake and spiders. The one time I was hiking in Arizona and I jumped before I even consciously processed the fact that there was a snake laying in the middle of the path. I think it's like my brain kind of registered um the markings on it or something. Like it was always surprised me, but in journey state, these animals are allies. So they're our spirit guides, and they guide some part of us. So often, spiritual or shamanic teachers will say, like, if it gives you the willies, it's probably got some medicine for you. So just kind of asking it, like, why am I so freaked out by you? A lot of us have that feeling about snake, and especially because of the mythology that we're often brought up with snake being quote unquote evil, or we have a lot of snake mythology. So just knowing that when you're in a journey state or a meditative state, you control the relationship with it. It can't actually kill you or hurt you, so you can dialogue with it and have a different kind of relationship. One of the animal guides I work with is vulture, which used to always kind of gross me out a little bit. which it does to a lot of people because it sticks its head in dead things and eats it. And that's repulsive to us because that will make us sick. But when you start researching vulture and you realize, oh, this is an animal that like never kills another animal. It's very peaceful, you know. It's what, it is the recycler of our world, you know. Then you start to have a different appreciation. So one thing I always encourage people to do is, especially when they're doing shamanic work, is to study the biology of the animal. That will tell you the medicine that the animal has to show you. And often when we start studying the biology and we start understanding how it lives, how it interacts with the world, because that's really the medicine that we're getting from it. How do bees interact with the world? Well, we know because we have a bee shortage how detrimental it is when the bees aren't here to our environment. So the bees are a wonderful ally for our environment. So they have a lot to teach us, right? But spiders, snakes, they also have a place in our environment. So just dialoguing with it. I mean, I like doing the research, the biology research, the kind of figuring out how it lives its life and figuring out, you know, how I fit into that as well. So does that make sense? Hi, Teresa. Well, that's our reading for the month. So we're working with B for our shamanic journey. So keep your eyes out for that. We're working with the tarot card of temperance this month. We're working with wormwood. We're working with garnet, malachite, and selenite, which is, I did not even realize this as like red, green, and white, which are basically the colors of Christmas. Ugh. Nothing happens by mistake, right? um, so Susan said, is there a book or a website that gives info? I mean, the most famous one is Ted Andrews' book, Animals Speak. That is kind of a place that has the medicine of the animals. But I've been really liking this one, Power Animals, A Shaman's Guide to Power Animals by Lori Morrison. She does a lot of great research too. So, upcoming things, I do have a guided shamanic journey happening on the 12th. So 12/12. It's going to happen at Alta View in Harrisburg, but I will also be zooming in. So if you're far away and you want to do a live shamanic journey with me, it'll also be recorded if you can't do it live. I'll be doing a journey with buffalo. So we're going to be talking about the North and talking about the abundance of buffalo. And then I'll be doing a new year visioning workshop at Alta View, and that's an in-person one. And I'm doing that on January 9th. So I hope to see y'all. Thank you guys. Thank you, Stefan, Michelle, Joanne, Rosie, Teresa, Emily. Thanks for being live with me here. And I will talk to you next month.